Switzerland isn't perfect, okay? I've said it. And yes, I know they have all these good things going for them. I'm not denying any of that, but it's a bit suspicious, honestly, when all I hear about Switzerland are positive things. You know, all of that sounds amazing, but if you are a man in Switzerland, you're facing a severe discrimination based on your gender. The government suddenly comes up to you and says, well, you have balls and pee-pee, that means you're coming with us, whether you like it or not. The government is suddenly kidnapping you to conscription slavery. And that is, guys, what I want to talk about in this video, the compulsory military service in Switzerland, and why it has to be immediately stopped. And before you start telling me about the civilian service as some kind of better option, don't do that. It's not better. It's longer, it's harder, and it feels like a punishment for not joining the army. It's still forced labor. There's no real choice, just two bad options. That's not freedom. This system is also sexist. Only men are forced to serve. Women don't have to do anything. Why should only men be treated like this? That's discrimination. Switzerland is in the middle of peaceful Europe. There's no need for conscription anymore. No one is attacking. This entire system is just about control, tradition, and forcing people to obey. You know, just look at this video. They are forced to stand there in lines and sing some nationalistic anthem, like some mindless idiots. And people will still come up to you and say, yeah, this is patriotism. No, you dumbass, this is slavery. It's literally a mindless indoctrination. How can this be patriotism when the people involved are clearly not there voluntarily? Thinking like this is beyond stupid. Okay, anyways, let's talk about hypocrisy nobody in Switzerland wants to talk about. This country claims to be a beacon of equality, yet it forces only men into mandatory military service. That's not equality, that's institutionalized sexism, baked into law. If you are born male, you're automatically registered for conscription. You don't get a choice, your body is the property of the state. But if you are a woman, there's no pressure, no punishment, no military tax. How is that fair? Either both sexes serve or nobody does. This system only says one thing. Women deserve equality, men deserve slavery. How is that possible that in a so-called modern democracy, young men are still treated as disposable tools of the state? They don't get a say. They don't get to opt out without punishment. Meanwhile, women are free to live their lives uninterrupted, never forced into a uniform, never threatened with prison or special tax. How is this equality? The Swiss government will tell you, it's just the way it's always been. But that's not an excuse. If your entire system relies on enslaving one gender while calling it national service, then your values are broken. And let's talk about the military tax. If you refuse to serve, you have to pay 3% of your income every year until you're 37. Think about that. You're being financially punished for not agreeing to be in the military. And guess what? Women don't pay that tax. Not because they served, but because they are not even expected to. That's not equality, that's legal discrimination. Switzerland's conscription system is basically fascism hiding behind a flag. It forces young men into the military, not by asking them, but by threatening them. That's not freedom, that's control. When the government can take away your time, your plans, and your body, and make you serve the military against your will, that's not democracy. That's dictatorship. This system acts like the state owns you. It doesn't care what you believe in or what you want to do with your life. It just wants you to obey. That's how fascist systems work. The state comes first and the individual doesn't matter. Conscription in Switzerland isn't really about defense. It's about making people obey the system. If you say no, you get punished with fines and treated like a criminal. That's not how a democratic country treats its people. That's how authoritarian regimes act. There is nothing honorable about being forced to serve. There's nothing patriotic about having your body, your time, and your freedom taken by the state. And it is deeply, disgustingly dehumanizing. From the moment a boy turns 18, the state no longer sees him as a person. He becomes a number, a file, a resource to be used. His consent is irrelevant. His dreams, his values, his beliefs, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is his ability to obey, carry a weapon, and follow orders. This system strips men of their humanity. It reduces them to tools, to weapons, to property of the government. You don't get to say no. You don't get to walk away. You are owned by a system that sees you not as a human being, but as a disposable body. Switzerland forces men into military service. It strips them of their identity. Men are treated like numbers. The state uses them as parts in a machine. They must obey strict rules. Their dreams and hopes are ignored. They have no choice but to serve or pay fines. This system takes away their freedom. It shows no care of their feelings or future. Men lose the right to decide their own lives. They are seen only as tools for control. Their lives are used and discarded. Switzerland's conscription system is an outdated and unfair practice. Practice that pretends to be about patriotism but actually goes against personal freedom and equality. Forcing young men to join the military, with threats of punishment if they refuse. That means it is a form of slavery. In today's world where human rights are supposed to matter, there is no good reason to force people into an institution they might disagree with. Switzerland claims to be neutral, but at the same time it forces its own citizens to obey the military and punishes those who say no, with fines, shame, and legal trouble. This system is not really about protecting the country, it's about control. It takes away young people's time, their freedom, self-respect, and turns them into tools for the government. And it's clearly sexist, only men are forced to serve. This only shows how old-fashioned and unfair this system truly is. And let's be honest, it's also sexist. Only men are forced to do this. That shows how outdated and unfair the system is. In a modern country, no one should be forced to serve the military just because of their gender.